something terrible had happened, but their young minds couldn't understand what. Amara Johnson lay unconscious on the cracked linoleum, her beautiful face pale and drawn from months of surviving on one meal a day so her children could eat. Her dark skin had lost its glow, and her once bright eyes were closed, her body finally giving up after working 3 jobs and getting only 3 hours of sleep each night. The medical bills from Caden's recent ear infection had forced her to choose between groceries and medicine. She chose medicine. She always chose her children. The twins hadn't eaten since yesterday morning. Their last meal had been half a peanut butter sandwich each, split from the single sandwich Amara had made with the last of their food. Now their little stomachs ached with hunger, but they were more scared than hungry as they watched their mommy lie so still. Kira remembered what mommy had taught her about emergencies. She climbed onto the kitchen chair and reached for the old phone hanging on the wall. Her small fingers struggled with the numbers. 9. 1. But then she got confused and pressed other numbers instead. The phone rang and rang. Have you ever wondered how one wrong number could change everything? What would you do if a child called you crying for help? Please subscribe and tell us in the comments below what you think happens next. Your support means everything to struggling families like this one. Hello, a deep, kind voice answered on the other end. My mommy won't wake up, Kira sobbed into the phone. She's sleeping on the floor and she won't get up. I'm scared. Nathan Pierce had been reviewing quarterly reports in his penthouse office when his private line rang. The man who had built a multimillion-dollar empire from nothing immediately recognized the panic in the child's voice. Something about the innocent terror in those words made his heart stop. Sweetheart, what's your name? Nathan asked, pushing aside his papers and grabbing his car keys. Kira. My brother is Caden. Mommy is on the floor and she's not talking to me. Nathan's assistant looked up in surprise as her boss rushed past her desk. She had never seen the composed billionaire look so urgent, so human. Kira, I need you to be very brave for me. Can you tell me where you live? Nathan was already in the elevator, his phone pressed to his ear as he listened to the little girl struggle to remember her address. We live where the big truck makes loud noise. Mommy says we live on Park Street, but I don't know the numbers. Nathan's mind raced. He pulled up maps on his phone while keeping Kira talking. What does your building look like, sweetheart? It's brown and has lots of stairs. There's a mean dog that barks at us. And Mrs. Chin next door makes fish that smells funny. Through careful questioning, Nathan pieced together their location. The Park Street area was known for its run-down apartment buildings and struggling families. As his luxury car sped through traffic, Nathan kept Kira calm by asking about her brother and their mommy. Is your brother okay? Nathan asked, weaving between cars. Caden is sad. He wants mommy to make us food but she won't wake up. We're really hungry. Those words hit Nathan harder than any business loss ever had. He had never experienced real hunger, never known what it felt like to be a child afraid and alone. His own childhood had been privileged but empty, filled with nannies and boarding schools instead of love. I'm coming to help you and your mommy, Nathan promised, running red lights he would gladly pay tickets for later. Stay on the phone with me. Is your mommy breathing? Kira looked closely at her mother. Her tummy moves up and down a little bit. That's good. That means she's just very tired. Can you get a blanket and put it on your mommy to keep her warm? As Nathan coached the 3-year-old through helping her unconscious mother, his heart broke for this family he had never met. The little girl's vocabulary showed she was smart, but her situation revealed a level of poverty Nathan had never personally encountered. I can see your building now, Nathan said, pulling up to a rundown complex that looked like it should have been condemned years ago. I'm the tall man in the dark coat coming up the stairs. Can you open the door for me? Inside the apartment, Kira struggled with the heavy chain locks her mother had installed for safety. Nathan heard her little grunts of effort through the phone. I can't reach the top one, she said. That's okay. Step back from the door. Nathan's voice was gentle but firm. The door was old and cheap. One solid push would break it open and he would pay for repairs later. The sound of splintering would echo through the tiny apartment as Nathan pushed inside. What he saw made him stop breathing for a moment. The apartment was smaller than his bathroom, with peeling paint and a ceiling stain that suggested regular leaks. But it was clean and organized, showing a mother who took pride in her home despite having nothing. Amara lay exactly where her daughter had described, unconscious but breathing. Nathan knelt beside her, checking her pulse and breathing while the twins watched him with wide, hopeful eyes. Is mommy going to be okay? Caden finally spoke, his small voice thick with tears. Nathan looked at the beautiful woman on the floor, then at her 2 precious children who had somehow stayed brave through this terror. Something deep inside him shifted, a feeling he had never experienced despite all his wealth and success. Yes, he promised, though he wasn't sure. Mommy is going to be just fine. And so are both of you. Nathan Pierce had never moved so fast in his life. Within seconds of seeing Amara unconscious on that worn linoleum floor, he had his phone pressed to his ear, speaking rapidly to emergency dispatch while simultaneously comforting two terrified toddlers. I need an ambulance at 847 Park Street, apartment 2B, he said, his usual business tone replaced by urgent concern. I have an unconscious female, mid-20s, two small children present. She appears to be breathing but unresponsive. The dispatcher's questions came rapid fire, but Nathan's attention was split between the phone and the twins. Kira had wrapped her tiny arms around his leg, while Caden sat in the corner, still sucking his thumb and staring at his mother with frightened eyes. Sir, are you trained in first aid? The dispatcher asked. Basic CPR certification, Nathan replied, though he had never imagined using it in a situation like this. He knelt beside Amara again, gently tilting her head back and checking her airway. Her breathing was shallow but steady, her pulse weak but present. Mommy always makes us breakfast, Kira said softly, looking up at Nathan with trust that nearly broke his heart. But she didn't wake up to make it today. Nathan's stomach clenched as he realized these children hadn't eaten. Looking around the tiny kitchen, he opened the refrigerator and found it nearly empty. A half-empty container of milk, some wilted lettuce, and a small jar of peanut butter sat on the shelves. The freezer contained nothing but ice. When did you last eat? Nathan asked gently, though he dreaded the answer. Yesterday morning, Caden whispered. Mommy gave us half sandwich. The weight of their situation hit Nathan like a physical blow. This woman had been starving herself to feed her children, working herself to collapse to keep them housed and clothed. The evidence was everywhere, in her too thin frame, in the dark circles under her closed eyes, in the way her clothes hung loose despite being clean and mended. The ambulance is coming, Nathan told the children, pulling out his wallet. But first, let's get you something to eat. He started to dial his assistant, then stopped. These children needed food now, not in 30 minutes when someone could bring groceries. Nathan had never been inside a corner market in his life, but there was one across the street. I'm going to get you food, he told them. Can you sit right here next to Mommy and don't open the door for anyone except me? Don't leave us, Kira pleaded, her small hand clutching his expensive suit jacket. Nathan's heart twisted. He looked at Amara, still unconscious but stable, then at her children who had been through more trauma in one morning than most adults faced in a lifetime. He made a decision that surprised even him. You know what? We'll all stay together. I'll carry you both downstairs with me. Gently lifting Caden and taking Kira's hand, Nathan led them down to the corner store. The elderly Korean owner looked surprised to see a man in a $1,000 suit with two small children, but Nathan's urgent request for immediate food brought quick action. Bananas, bread, peanut butter, milk, Nathan said, grabbing items while balancing Caden on his hip. What else do children eat? Crackers, Kira said shyly. And those noodles in the cup. Nathan bought armloads of simple food, paying with cash and carrying the children back upstairs just as the ambulance arrived. The paramedics found him sitting on the floor with the twins, feeding them banana slices while monitoring their mother. I'm the one who called, Nathan explained to the lead paramedic, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes. I received a call from the little girl. The mother appears to be suffering from exhaustion and possibly malnutrition. The paramedic, whose name tag read Johnson, began checking Amara's vital signs. Any idea how long she's been unconscious? The children found her this morning. I'd estimate at least 30 minutes, possibly longer. As the paramedics worked, Nathan kept the twins calm, explaining what was happening and promising that the nice people were helping their mommy feel better. But his mind was racing ahead, already making plans he had never considered before. We need to transport her, Johnson announced. Are you family? No, Nathan paused, looking at Kira's trusting face and Caden's worried eyes. I'm a friend. What about the children? Is there other family we can call? I don't know. Nathan realized he knew almost nothing about this family except their desperate circumstances. I'll stay with them. Sir, you can't just take someone else's children. Then I'm coming to the hospital too, Nathan said firmly. They shouldn't be alone. The ride to the hospital was the longest of Nathan's life. He sat in his luxury car, following the ambulance through city streets while the twins sat secured in car seats he had never imagined needing. His assistant had arranged for the seats to be delivered and installed within minutes, another reminder of how money could solve immediate problems. But money couldn't fix the fear in Caden's eyes or the way Kira kept asking when Mommy would wake up. Money couldn't undo months of stress and hunger that had brought this beautiful family to such a desperate point. Is Mommy sick? Kira asked for the fourth time. The doctors are going to make her feel much better, Nathan promised, though he wasn't certain of anything anymore. His ordered, predictable world had been completely overturned by one wrong number phone call. At the hospital, Nathan faced bureaucracy he had never encountered. Insurance forms, medical histories, emergency contacts. All information he didn't have. But his determination to stay with the children overrode every obstacle. I'm assuming temporary guardianship, he told the social worker who arrived to assess the situation. These children need continuity right now. The social worker, Mrs. Rodriguez, looked skeptical. Sir, you can't just assume responsibility for children you don't know. There are procedures. Then expedite them, Nathan said, his business voice emerging. These children have been through enough trauma. They need stability, not more uncertainty. As they spoke in hushed tones, the twins sat in the waiting room chairs that were too big for them, sharing a bag of crackers Nathan had brought from the store. They looked so small, so vulnerable, yet they showed remarkable strength for 3-year-olds. Daddy Nathan, Kira suddenly said, looking up at him with serious eyes. That's what I'm going to call you. Nathan felt something break open in his chest, a feeling he had never experienced. This little girl, who had every reason to be afraid of strangers, was offering him the most precious gift she could imagine. Would you like that? He asked, kneeling to her level. Yes. You came when Mommy couldn't come. That's what daddies do. Nathan looked at Caden, who nodded solemnly. Daddy Nathan, he agreed. In that moment, sitting in a hospital waiting room with 2 children he had met only hours ago, Nathan Pierce discovered what had been missing from his successful but empty life. Purpose. Love. Family. He pulled out his phone and began making the calls that would change everything. The pediatric wing of Metropolitan General Hospital had never seen anything quite like Nathan Pierce. The billionaire businessman sat cross-legged on the children's activity room floor, teaching Kira how to stack blocks while Caden colored beside them. His expensive suit was wrinkled, his usually perfect hair disheveled, and he had never been happier. Mr. Pierce. Dr. Martinez approached with Amara's medical chart. We need to discuss Ms. Johnson's condition. Nathan looked up from the block tower. Good news, I hope. She's stable and conscious now. The tests confirm severe malnutrition and exhaustion, but no permanent damage. She's asking for her children. Nathan felt relief wash through him. Can they see her? In a few minutes. But Mr. Pierce, we need to address the situation here. These children have been through significant trauma, and their mother is going to need time to recover fully. Whatever they need, Nathan said immediately. Medical bills, medication, follow-up care. I'll handle everything. Dr. Martinez studied him carefully. Sir, forgive me for asking, but what's your connection to this family? Social Services is asking questions. Nathan looked at the twins, who were listening even while pretending to play. Honestly, I received a wrong number call this morning from Kira. Her mother was unconscious and they needed help. But now... He paused, watching Kira carefully balance another block. Now I can't imagine my life without them. That's very generous, but... Doctor, I understand your concerns about a stranger suddenly appearing in these children's lives. But look at them. Nathan gestured to Kira and Caden, who were now building a tower together. They've been through hell and they're still showing incredible strength. They deserve every advantage I can give them. Dr. Martinez nodded slowly. Ms. Johnson is in room 314. She's weak but alert. She's been asking about the man who helped her children. The walk to Amara's room felt monumental. Nathan carried Caden while Kira held his free hand, both children suddenly shy about seeing their mother in a hospital bed. Nathan felt nervous too, though he couldn't understand why. He had conducted business deals worth millions with less anxiety than he felt approaching this hospital room. Mommy. Kira's whisper broke the silence as they entered the room. Amara Johnson looked impossibly small in the hospital bed, but her eyes lit up when she saw her children. Nathan was struck again by her beauty, even weakened and exhausted. Her rich brown skin had regained some color, and her dark eyes held intelligence and strength despite everything she had endured. My babies, she whispered, reaching out with arms that trembled from weakness. Nathan gently lifted the twins onto the bed, one on each side of their mother. The reunion was tender and heartbreaking, with soft words and gentle touches that spoke of deep love despite desperate circumstances. You must be Nathan, Amara said, looking at him over her children's heads. Her voice was soft but clear. I don't know how to thank you for what you did. You don't need to thank me, Nathan replied, meaning it completely. Anyone would have done the same. Amara smiled sadly. No, they wouldn't have. I know how the world works when you have nothing. She looked down at her twins, who were snuggled against her sides. The nurse told me you bought them food, stayed with them, brought them here. That's not what strangers do. Maybe I'm not a stranger anymore, Nathan said gently. Mommy, we call him Daddy Nathan, Kira announced proudly. He's going to take care of us. Nathan saw panic flicker in Amara's eyes. Kira, honey, Mr. Nathan has his own life. We can't just. Actually, Nathan interrupted softly, I'd like to talk to you about that. But first, how are you feeling? Better. Hungry, which is funny because I haven't felt hungry in weeks. Amara's honesty was refreshing after a lifetime of people telling Nathan what they thought he wanted to hear. The doctor says you need several days of rest and proper nutrition. Your body needs time to recover. I can't afford several days in the hospital, Amara said, a familiar stress creeping into her voice. I have 3 jobs, and if I don't show up. You're not going back to those jobs, Nathan said firmly. And before you argue, please listen to what I'm offering. Amara's expression became guarded. Mr. Nathan, I appreciate everything you've done, but I can't accept charity. I work for what we have. It's not charity. It's an opportunity. Nathan pulled up a chair beside the bed. I own several companies. I have a position available in my main office, administrative work, good pay, excellent benefits. Regular hours so you can be home with the twins every evening. Why would you offer that to someone you don't know? Nathan looked at Kira and Caden, who were listening intently even while pretending to sleep against their mother. Because your children saved my life today as much as I saved yours. I've been successful in business, but I've never had a purpose beyond making money. Today, for the first time, I felt like what I was doing mattered. I still don't understand. Amara, may I call you Amara? When she nodded, Nathan continued. I'm a wealthy man with no family, no real connections. I've built an empire but forgotten to build a life. Your children called me by mistake, but maybe it wasn't really a mistake at all. Amara studied his face carefully. What are you really asking for? A chance to be part of something real. A chance to help a family that deserves everything good in this world. A chance to prove that sometimes wrong numbers lead to exactly the right place. And what do you expect in return? Nathan smiled. Nothing but the opportunity to watch these amazing children grow up knowing they're safe, fed, and loved. And maybe, he paused, looking directly at Amara. Maybe the chance to earn a place in your lives permanently. The silence stretched between them while Amara processed his words. Nathan held his breath, realizing that his entire future happiness depended on this woman's answer. The job? Amara said finally. Tell me about the job. For the next hour, Nathan outlined a position that seemed tailor-made for Amara's skills and situation. Administrative coordinator, excellent salary, full benefits, childcare allowance, flexible hours. As he spoke, Nathan realized he was creating more than a job offer. He was designing a life that would work for all of them. It sounds too good to be true, Amara said honestly. It's real. And it's yours if you want it. What about housing? The apartment we're in now. I own several properties. There's a beautiful townhouse about 10 minutes from my office. 3 bedrooms, fenced yard, safe neighborhood with good schools. It's empty and needs a family. Mr. Nathan. Just Nathan. Please. Amara looked at her sleeping children, then back at Nathan. What? Really, why would you do all this for people you don't know? Nathan considered his answer carefully. Because for the first time in my adult life, I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Because your children looked at me and saw someone worth calling Daddy before they even knew my name. Because you fought so hard for your family that you literally worked yourself unconscious, and that kind of love deserves to be protected and supported. Amara's eyes filled with tears. I'm scared to say yes. I'm scared to say no. Nathan reached over and gently took her hand. Then say yes and let's figure out the scary parts together. Amara looked at him for a long moment, then squeezed his hand. Yes, we'll try it. But I work for everything you give us. No free rides. Deal, Nathan agreed, though he was already planning ways to make sure this remarkable woman and her children would never want for anything again. As they shook hands, Kira stirred and looked up at them with sleepy eyes. Are you and Mommy friends now, Daddy Nathan? Nathan looked at Amara, who was smiling through her tears. Yes, sweetheart. We're friends. Very good friends. The next morning brought sunshine streaming through Amara's hospital room window, along with the sound of children's laughter that had been absent from her life for far too long. Nathan had arrived early with breakfast for everyone, a spread that seemed impossibly abundant to a woman who had been rationing food for months. "Pancakes," Caden whispered in awe, staring at the plate Nathan placed on the rolling table. "Real pancakes with syrup. And strawberries," Kira added, her eyes wide. "Can we really eat all of this?" Amara felt her throat tighten watching her children's wonder over what most people considered a normal breakfast. She had forgotten they were still babies, still young enough to find magic in simple pleasures. "Eat as much as you want," Nathan told them, cutting Kira's pancakes into manageable pieces. His movements were careful and gentle, as if he had been caring for children his whole life instead of learning as he went. "Nathan," Amara said softly, "we need to talk about boundaries. About what's realistic here." He looked up from helping Caden with his orange juice. "What do you mean?" "This," she gestured at the feast spread before them. "The job offer, the house, all of it. I appreciate everything, but I need to understand what you really expect from us." Nathan settled into the chair beside her bed. "I expect you to let me help without feeling guilty about it. I expect you to take the job seriously and do good work, which I know you will. And I expect that maybe, over time, we can become a real family." "A real family," Amara repeated carefully. "I know how that sounds. I know we've known each other less than 24 hours. But Amara, I've never felt anything like what I felt when I heard Kira crying on the phone. It was like something inside me woke up for the first time." Amara studied his face, looking for deception or hidden motives. But Nathan's expression was open and honest, almost vulnerable in a way she didn't expect from someone so successful. "Tell me about your family," she said. "Your real family." Nathan was quiet for a moment, watching the twins eat their breakfast with the focused intensity of children who had known hunger. "My parents died in a car accident when I was 12, he said finally. "I was raised by my grandfather, who was a brilliant businessman and a terrible guardian. He taught me how to make money but not how to make connections. I went to the best schools, built a successful company, acquired wealth most people only dream about. But I've never had what you have with Kira and Caden." "What's that?" "Love that asks for nothing in return. Purpose beyond profit. Someone to come home to who actually cares that I'm there." Amara felt her defenses softening despite her determination to stay practical. "Nathan, you barely know us. What if we're not what you think we are? What if this feeling fades when the novelty wears off?" "What if it doesn't?" he countered. "What if this is the beginning of something none of us knew we were looking for?" Dr. Martinez entered with Amara's discharge papers, interrupting the conversation at a moment when Amara felt her careful walls beginning to crumble. "Good news," the doctor announced. "Your blood work looks much better and I'm comfortable releasing you today. But I want you on light duty for at least a week. No stress, regular meals, plenty of rest." "Doctor," Nathan said, "what's the long-term prognosis? Will there be any lasting effects from the malnutrition?" "With proper nutrition and care, she should make a complete recovery. But Mr. Pierce, this level of malnutrition doesn't happen overnight. Ms. Johnson has been slowly starving herself for months, maybe longer." Amara felt shame wash over her, the familiar weight of having failed her children despite trying so hard. "Hey," Nathan said softly, seeming to read her thoughts. "You kept your children alive and healthy under impossible circumstances. That's not failure, that's heroic." "I collapsed on the kitchen floor while they watched," Amara whispered. "They could have been hurt or taken by social services but they weren't. They were brave and smart just like their mother taught them to be. And now they're safe." Dr. Martinez handed Nathan the discharge papers. "I'm releasing her to your care, Mr. Pierce. Make sure she follows the nutrition plan and gets plenty of rest." After the doctor left, Nathan turned back to Amara with an expression of determination she was beginning to recognize. "We're going shopping," he announced. "Nathan, I don't need." "Yes, you do. All of you need clothes, the twins need proper car seats, and we need to get you moved into the townhouse. Consider it your first day of work." "How is shopping my first day of work?" "Because part of your job is going to be helping me figure out how to take care of a family. I've never bought children's clothes or picked out furniture for anyone but myself. I need your expertise." Amara couldn't help smiling. "You're pretty clever, aren't you? I'm a successful businessman. I know how to make an offer someone can't refuse. And what makes you think I can't refuse?" Nathan looked at Kira and Caden, who were listening intently while pretending to focus on their breakfast. "Because you're a good mother who wants the best for her children. And because deep down you're just as lonely as I am." His words hit harder than Amara expected. She had been so focused on survival for so long that she had forgotten she was still a young woman who wanted companionship, romance, and partnership. "I don't want to be your charity case," she said finally. "You won't be. You'll be my partner in building something neither of us could create alone." "Partners?" Amara repeated. "In every sense of the word, if you'll let me prove I'm worthy of that trust." Before Amara could respond, Kira climbed carefully onto the bed and snuggled against her side. "Mommy, can we keep Daddy Nathan?" she asked seriously. "He makes really good pancakes." Amara laughed, the sound surprising her with its lightness. "We'll see, baby. We'll see." But as Nathan helped the twins clean their sticky fingers and gathered the breakfast dishes, Amara found herself imagining what life might look like with someone to share the daily responsibilities and joys of raising children. For the first time in years, the future looked like something other than an endurance test. "Okay," she said, making a decision that terrified and thrilled her in equal measure. "Let's go shopping." Nathan's smile could have powered the entire hospital. "Thank you for trusting me with this," he said softly. "I won't let you down." "You better not," Amara replied, but she was smiling too. "Because if you hurt my babies, I'll forget how grateful I am and make your life very difficult." I wouldn't expect anything less from their mother. As they prepared to leave the hospital together, Amara realized she was about to embark on the biggest leap of faith of her life. But looking at Nathan's gentle care with her children and feeling the spark of possibility in her chest, she thought maybe it was time to start believing in happy endings. The townhouse took Amara's breath away. She stood in the doorway, holding Kira's hand while Caden pressed against her legs, all of them staring at a space larger than anywhere they had ever lived. The morning sun streamed through tall windows, illuminating hardwood floors and fresh paint that made everything feel clean and hopeful. "This is where we're going to live," Kira whispered, her small voice echoing in the empty living room. "If you like it," Nathan said, setting down the bags of clothes and toys they had bought during their shopping expedition. "We can look at other places if this doesn't feel right." Amara walked slowly through the rooms, unable to speak. 3 bedrooms upstairs, each large enough for the twins to have their own space for the first time in their lives. A kitchen with modern appliances and counter space where she could actually cook meals instead of heating things up in a microwave. A small backyard with a swing set that Nathan had ordered installed that morning. "The master bedroom has an attached bathroom," Nathan explained, following her upstairs. "And there's a washer and dryer in the hall closet, so no more trips to the laundromat. No more laundromat. No more counting quarters for washing machines or hanging clothes to dry on radiators." Amara touched the bathroom counter, still not quite believing it was real. "Nathan," she said finally, "this is too much. It's a 3-bedroom rental in a safe neighborhood with good schools. It's exactly what your family needs." "Your family needs?" Amara repeated. "Is that what we are now?" Nathan paused in the doorway, his expression suddenly uncertain. "I hope so. If you'll have me." Before Amara could respond, the twins came thundering up the stairs, their excitement echoing through the empty house. "Mommy, come see," Caden called. "There's a swing in the backyard. And my room has a window that looks at the swing," Kira added. "Can we really live here?" Amara looked at her children's bright faces, then at Nathan, who was watching them with an expression of such tender hope that it made her chest ache. "Yes," she said, the word coming out stronger than she felt. "We can really live here." The next few hours passed in a blur of deliveries and organization. Nathan had arranged for furniture to arrive that afternoon, basic pieces that transformed the empty space into a home. Beds for the children, a dining table, a comfortable couch, everything they needed to start their new life. What surprised Amara most was how Nathan involved her in every decision. He didn't present her with completed arrangements but asked for her input on everything from the color of the twins' bedding to the placement of furniture in the living room. "You have good instincts," he said as she rearranged the kitchen items for the 3rd time. "This already feels more like a home than my place ever has." "Where do you live?" Amara asked, realizing she knew almost nothing about his personal life. "Downtown penthouse. Great view, terrible for children. All glass and sharp corners and expensive things that break easily." "Will you?" Amara paused, suddenly shy. "Will you be staying here too?" Nathan set down the box he was carrying and gave her his full attention. "I'd like to if that's what you want. But I understand if you need space to adjust to everything first. I can stay at the penthouse and visit every day, or I can take the guest room here and try not to get in your way." "What do you want?" Amara asked. "I want to wake up every morning knowing you and the twins are safe and happy. I want to help Caden tie his shoes and teach Kira to ride a bike. I want to come home from work to the sound of children playing instead of silence." His honesty made Amara's heart race. She had been on her own for so long that the idea of sharing daily life with someone else felt both wonderful and terrifying. "The guest room," she said finally. "Let's start there and see how it goes." Nathan's smile was radiant. "Thank you." That evening, as they sat around the new dining table eating takeout Chinese food, Amara watched Nathan help Caden with his chopsticks while listening seriously to Kira's detailed explanation of her favorite cartoon. He looked completely natural, as if he had been part of their family forever. "Daddy Nathan," Kira said, "do you have a job?" "I do. I have several businesses that I run." "Do you have to go to work tomorrow?" Caden asked. "Yes, but not for very long. And your mommy is going to start working with me soon, so we'll all be together during the day." Amara had been trying not to think about the job Nathan had offered. It seemed too good to be true and she was afraid to believe it was real. "About that," she said. "Maybe we should talk about what exactly this job involves." Nathan wiped Caden's face with a napkin, the gesture so paternal that Amara felt her chest tighten. "Administrative coordinator for Pierce Industries. You'll work directly with me on project management, handle my calendar, coordinate between departments. It's challenging work, but I think you'll be excellent at it." "How can you know that? You've never seen me work." "I've seen you manage 3 jobs, 2 toddlers, and keep a family together under impossible circumstances. If you can do that, you can coordinate my business projects." "And the salary you mentioned?" "Enough to make you and the twins comfortable, with full benefits including health insurance and a college fund for Kira and Caden." Amara stared at him. "Nathan, that's more money than I've ever made in my life. It's what the job is worth. And what you're worth." That night, after the twins were asleep in their new beds, Amara and Nathan sat on the couch in their new living room, sharing a bottle of wine Nathan had brought to celebrate their first day as a family. "I keep waiting for the catch," Amara admitted. "This all feels too perfect to be real." "What if there is no catch?" Nathan said. "What if sometimes life actually gives you exactly what you need at exactly the right moment?" "I've never been lucky like that before." "Maybe your luck is changing." Amara looked around the room, taking in the comfortable furniture, the toys scattered on the floor, the family photos Nathan had insisted they'd take that afternoon and immediately had printed and framed. "Nathan," she said softly, "what happens if this doesn't work out between us? What happens to the kids?" Nathan set down his wine glass and turned to face her fully. "Amara, I need you to understand something. Whatever happens between us romantically, I'm committed to being part of Kira and Caden's lives forever. They're my children now too in every way that matters. That doesn't change no matter what." "You can't promise that. You don't know how you'll feel in 6 months or a year." "I know how I felt when I thought they were in danger. I know how I feel when Kira calls me Daddy Nathan and Caden asks me to read him a bedtime story. Those children have my heart completely, and that's not going to change." Amara studied his face in the soft lamplight, looking for any sign of uncertainty or deception. But Nathan's expression was steady and sincere, and she found herself beginning to believe him. "This is scary for me," she whispered. "It's scary for me too. I've never cared about anyone the way I care about the 3 of you. But Amara, I think the scariest thing would be letting fear stop us from finding out what we could be together." Amara felt herself leaning toward him, drawn by his warmth and certainty. When Nathan reached up to touch her face gently, she didn't pull away. "I want to try," she said. "I want to see what this could be." Nathan's kiss was soft and sweet, full of promise rather than demand. When they broke apart, Amara felt something she hadn't experienced in years, hope for a future that included love as well as security. "So what happens now?" she asked. Nathan smiled, pulling her closer on the couch. "Now we take it one day at a time and build something beautiful together." As they sat in their new home, surrounded by the evidence of Nathan's generosity and care, Amara allowed herself to imagine a future where she and her children were not just surviving but thriving. For the first time in years, that future seemed not just possible but inevitable. 3 weeks into their new life, Amara discovered that Nathan Pierce was nothing like the billionaire stereotype she had imagined. He woke up early every morning to make breakfast for the twins, learned their favorite songs to sing during car rides, and never missed a chance to read bedtime stories, complete with funny voices for every character. "Daddy Nathan, you sound like a frog," Kira giggled as Nathan croaked his way through the voice of a cartoon prince. "That's because the prince was cursed by an evil witch," Nathan explained seriously, making Caden laugh so hard he hiccuped. Amara watched from the doorway, still amazed by how naturally Nathan had settled into their family routine. His business empire continued to run smoothly with morning phone calls and afternoon meetings, but his evenings belonged completely to them. "Your turn, Mommy," Caden called, patting the space beside him on the bed. Amara settled in next to her son, feeling Nathan's warmth on her other side as they finished the bedtime story together. This had become their evening ritual, Nathan reading with dramatic flair while Amara provided the voice of reason and gentle corrections when he got too carried away with the plot. After the twins were asleep, Nathan and Amara retreated to the living room for their own quiet time together. This was when they talked about their days, planned for tomorrow, and slowly shared the details of their past that had shaped who they were. "Tell me about their father," Nathan said one evening, his question gentle but direct. Amara had been expecting this conversation for days. "His name was Jerome. We met in college, got married young because I was pregnant with the twins. He left when they were 6 months old. That must have been devastating." "It was. But Nathan, he wasn't a bad person. He just wasn't ready to be a father, and he was honest about that. He sends money when he can, calls on their birthdays. The twins know they have a father, but they also know he's not part of our daily life." Nathan nodded thoughtfully. "Are you worried about them getting attached to me?" "I was," Amara admitted. "But watching you with them, I think you understand what being a parent really means. Jerome loved them, but he loved his freedom more. You seem to love them enough to change your entire life." "Because they changed my entire perspective on what life could be," Nathan said. "Before Kira called me, I thought success meant accumulating wealth and power. Now I know it means coming home to people who are genuinely happy to see you." Their relationship was deepening in other ways too. Nathan had been true to his word about the job at Pierce Industries, and Amara discovered she had a natural talent for organization and project management. Working alongside Nathan every day had shown her sides of his personality that impressed her even more than his generosity. He was patient with difficult clients, fair to his employees, and surprisingly humble about his success. When Amara made suggestions for improving office procedures, he listened carefully and implemented her ideas without condescension or surprise. "You realize you're making me look bad," his assistant Jennifer told Amara with a grin. "Nathan's never been this organized or punctual in his life. He just needed the right motivation," Amara replied, watching through the office window as Nathan reviewed plans for a new community center his company was funding. But what amazed Amara most was how Nathan had embraced the ordinary moments of family life. He grocery shopped with patience, learned to braid Kira's hair, and attended every doctor's appointment and preschool event as if he had been doing it for years. "Why do you make it look so easy?" Amara asked one evening as Nathan helped both twins with their bath time routine. "What look easy?" "Being a parent. Most people struggle with the adjustment, but you just stepped into it like you were born for this." Nathan was quiet while he helped Caden rinse shampoo from his hair. "Maybe because I remember what it felt like to be a child without parents who were really present. My grandfather provided everything I needed materially, but he never just sat on the floor and played with me, never got excited about my school projects, never tucked me in at night. So you're giving them what you didn't have." "I'm giving them what every child deserves. And honestly, Amara, they're giving me so much more than I'm giving them." That weekend, Nathan surprised them with tickets to the Children's Museum. Amara watched him navigate the interactive exhibits with the patience of a man who had nowhere else he would rather be. When Kira got frustrated trying to build a tower in the construction zone, Nathan sat on the tiny plastic stool beside her and helped her problem solve without taking over the project. "Look, Mommy," Kira called proudly. "Daddy Nathan taught me how to make it not fall down." "That's beautiful, sweetheart," Amara called back, but her eyes were on Nathan, who was beaming with parental pride over a wobbly block tower. Later, as they shared ice cream at the museum cafe, Caden climbed into Nathan's lap without asking, the way he had started doing everywhere they went. "Daddy Nathan," Caden said seriously, "are you going to live with us forever?" Nathan met Amara's eyes over Caden's head. They had been talking about the future more and more, but always in careful terms that protected everyone's feelings. "Would you like me to live with you forever?" Nathan asked. "Yes," both twins said in unison, making Amara laugh. "What about you, Mommy?" Kira asked. "Do you want Daddy Nathan to stay forever?" Amara felt her cheeks warm under Nathan's steady gaze. The honest answer was yes, she wanted him to stay forever. She wanted to wake up every morning knowing he would be there, wanted to share every milestone and challenge an ordinary Tuesday with him. "I think," Amara said carefully, "that we're all very happy together right now." "But forever happy," Caden pressed. Nathan reached across the table and took Amara's hand. "Sometimes," he said, speaking to the twins but looking at Amara, "when people love each other very much, they decide to be a family forever and ever." "Do you love Mommy?" Kira asked with the directness that only 3-year-olds could manage. Yes, Nathan said without hesitation. I love your mommy very much. Amara's breath caught. They had been circling around the word love for weeks, both of them feeling it but afraid to say it first. Do you love Daddy Nathan? Caden asked his mother. Amara looked at Nathan, this man who had rearranged his entire life around their phone call, who had never made her feel like a charity case or a temporary solution to his loneliness. Yes, she said softly. I love Daddy Nathan very much too. The twins cheered as if their favorite team had won the championship, attracting amused looks from other families in the cafe. But Amara barely noticed because Nathan was holding her hand and smiling at her like she had just given him the greatest gift in the world. So forever then, Nathan said, and it was both a question and a promise. Forever, Amara agreed, and for the first time in her adult life, forever didn't sound scary. It sounded like everything she had been hoping for without knowing it was possible. That night, after the twins were asleep, Nathan and Amara sat on their front porch swing, watching the stars and planning a future that felt both impossible and inevitable. I have something to ask you, Nathan said, his voice unusually nervous. But before he could continue, Kira appeared in the doorway in her pajamas, rubbing sleepy eyes. Daddy Nathan, I had a bad dream, she said. Nathan immediately scooped her up, and she curled against his chest with the complete trust of a child who knew she was safe. What was the bad dream about, sweetheart? I dreamed you went away and didn't come back, Kira whispered. Nathan's arms tightened around her. That's never going to happen. I'm staying right here with you and Mommy and Caden forever and ever. Promise? I promise, Nathan said, and over Kira's head, he met Amara's eyes with an expression that made her heart race. Whatever question he had been planning to ask would have to wait, but Amara thought she already knew what it was. And she thought she already knew what her answer would be. The question came on a Tuesday morning in April, exactly 2 months after that first desperate phone call. Nathan had taken the twins to preschool while Amara finished some project reports at home, and when he returned he found her in the kitchen, surrounded by wedding magazines. Research, she said quickly, closing the nearest magazine. Jennifer at the office is getting married, and she asked for advice about venues. Nathan smiled, settling into the chair across from her. And what advice did you give her? That she should marry someone who makes her feel safe and loved and excited about the future all at the same time. That's very specific advice. Amara blushed, realizing how her words had sounded. I think when you find the right person, you don't spend months questioning whether it's real or wondering what the catch is. You just feel certain. Is that how you feel? Nathan asked softly. Certain. Before Amara could answer, Nathan reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Her breath caught as he opened it, revealing a ring that was elegant and beautiful without being ostentatious. Amara, he said, dropping to one knee beside her chair, I know we haven't been together very long by traditional standards, but I've never been more certain of anything in my life. You and Kira and Caden have shown me what love really means. Will you marry me and let me spend the rest of my life proving how much I love all of you? Amara stared at the ring, then at Nathan's hopeful face, feeling her heart race with joy and terror in equal measure. Nathan, she whispered, are you sure? Really sure? Because if we do this, there's no going back. You're not just marrying me, you're becoming a father to my children permanently. Their whole sense of security is going to be built around believing you'll always be there. I've never wanted anything more than I want to be their father and your husband, Nathan replied. Amara, I love you. Not just because you're beautiful or because you're a wonderful mother, but because you've made me understand what it means to put other people's happiness before your own. You've taught me that the best parts of life aren't things you achieve, they're things you build with people you love. Amara felt tears streaming down her face. But what if? What if what? What if I'm not good enough for your world? What if your friends and business associates think you're crazy for marrying a woman you met through a wrong number? What if I embarrass you at fancy events or say the wrong thing to important people? Nathan stood up and pulled her into his arms. Amara, you're worried about the wrong things. My world has been empty and meaningless until you and the twins filled it with purpose. Anyone who can't see how amazing you are doesn't deserve to be part of our lives. I've never been to a charity gala or a business dinner. I don't know how to make small talk with millionaires. Then we'll learn together. But sweetheart, I fell in love with the woman who kept her family together through impossible circumstances, who answered a stranger's generosity with grace instead of suspicion, who makes our house feel like home just by being in it. That woman can handle anything. Amara looked into Nathan's eyes and saw complete sincerity. No doubts, no reservations, just love and certainty that made her feel brave enough to take the biggest leap of faith of her life. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, I'll marry you." Nathan's shout of joy brought concerned neighbors to their windows, but neither of them cared. He spun Amara around the kitchen, both of them laughing and crying at the same time. "I love you so much," Nathan said, sliding the ring onto her finger with hands that shook slightly. "I can't wait to be your husband." "I love you too," Amara replied, looking at the ring that fit perfectly and somehow made everything feel more real. "I can't believe this is my life now." "Believe it," Nathan said, kissing her deeply. "This is just the beginning." They were interrupted by the sound of car doors slamming outside. Through the window, they could see Nathan's assistant Jennifer walking toward the house with both twins, who had apparently been dismissed early from preschool. "Did you plan this?" Amara asked, suspicious. Nathan grinned. "I might have arranged for the twins to be here when I proposed. I thought they should be part of the moment." "Daddy Nathan," Kira called, bursting through the front door with Caden close behind. "Jennifer said you have something important to tell us." Nathan knelt down to the twins' level while Amara stood beside him, her hand extended so they could see the ring. "I asked your mommy to marry me," Nathan announced. "And she said yes. That means we're going to be a real family forever and ever." The twins processed this information with the seriousness of children who understood that something momentous was happening. "Are you going to be our real daddy now?" Caden asked. "I'm going to adopt both of you legally, which means I'll be your daddy in every way that matters. Would you like that?" Both children nodded enthusiastically, launching themselves into Nathan's arms for a group hug that included Amara. "Can we plan the wedding?" Kira asked. "I want to wear a pretty dress and throw flowers." "We'll plan it together," Amara promised. "All of us." Over the next few weeks, as they began planning their wedding, Amara discovered that Nathan's promises about facing the world together were genuine. When they attended their first social function as an engaged couple, Nathan introduced her proudly to everyone they met, clearly unconcerned about anyone's opinions regarding their unconventional beginning. "She's the best thing that ever happened to me," he told a business associate who had made a subtle comment about their quick engagement. "And her children are the greatest blessing of my life." Amara watched Nathan field questions and comments with grace and good humor, never making her feel like she needed to apologize for their story or prove herself worthy of his love. But what really convinced Amara that their love was real and lasting were the quiet moments. Nathan helping the twins with homework while she cooked dinner. Saturday morning pancakes that had become their family tradition. The way he held her hand during movies and listened when she talked about her fears and dreams. "Are you happy?" Nathan asked one evening as they lay in bed together, the twins finally asleep after an especially energetic bedtime routine. "Happier than I ever thought possible," Amara replied honestly. "Sometimes I'm afraid I'll wake up and discover this was all a dream." "It's not a dream," Nathan assured her, pulling her closer. "This is real life and it's only going to get better." "Promise me something," Amara said. "Anything. Promise me that if you ever start to feel trapped or overwhelmed by all the responsibility, you'll talk to me instead of just disappearing. These kids have been abandoned by one father already. I couldn't bear for it to happen again." Nathan was quiet for so long that Amara started to worry she had offended him. But when he spoke, his voice was thick with emotion. "Amara, I need you to understand something. Those children saved my life just as much as I saved theirs. Before Kira called me, I was successful but empty. Now I have purpose, joy, love, everything that makes life worth living. I'm not going anywhere ever. This is where I belong." As Amara drifted off to sleep in Nathan's arms, surrounded by the sounds of their children sleeping safely down the hall, she finally allowed herself to believe in happily ever after. Their wedding was planned for the end of the month, but Amara already felt like they were married in every way that mattered. They were a family, bound together by love that had grown from the most unlikely beginning into something strong enough to last forever. The wedding planning revealed sides of Nathan that Amara hadn't expected. The man who commanded boardrooms and negotiated million-dollar deals spent hours researching child-friendly wedding venues and interviewing photographers who specialized in capturing family moments. "I want every detail to be perfect," he explained when Amara found him at the kitchen table at midnight, surrounded by catering menus and flower arrangements. "This isn't just our wedding day. It's the day we officially become a family." "Nathan, it's already perfect because it's us," Amara said, settling beside him and looking at his careful notes. "But I have to ask, why is there a section here labeled, surprise element, that?" Nathan quickly covered that part of his planning notebook. "That's not your concern right now. Are you planning something I should know about?" "I'm planning something you'll love, but it won't be a surprise if I tell you." Amara had learned to recognize Nathan's determined expression. Whatever he was planning, she wouldn't get details until he was ready to share them. Their engagement had been a whirlwind of joy and adjustment. The twins had embraced their new status as Nathan's children-to-be with enthusiasm, proudly telling anyone who would listen about their upcoming wedding roles as flower girl and ring bearer. "Daddy Nathan says I get to wear a tie like his," Caden announced to his preschool class, causing several other children to petition their parents for tie-wearing privileges. "And I get to throw rose petals," Kira added. "But only the red ones because they're the prettiest." Nathan had taken to the legal adoption process with the same methodical approach he brought to business ventures. He hired the best family attorney in the city and attended every meeting, every court date, treating the paperwork like the most important contract of his life. "After the adoption is finalized, they'll be Johnson Pierce," he told Amara one evening after a particularly productive meeting with their lawyer. "I want them to keep part of your name. It's important that they remember where they came from." "That's very thoughtful," Amara said, touched by his consideration of details that hadn't occurred to her. "They're going to have my name and all the advantages that come with it, but I never want them to forget that their strength comes from their mother." As the wedding date approached, Amara found herself marveling at how completely Nathan had integrated himself into their lives. He knew which twin preferred grape jelly over strawberry, remembered that Kira needed her stuffed elephant to sleep, and had mastered the art of negotiating bedtime extensions with patience and humor. But what touched her most was watching him with the twins during ordinary moments. Like the morning she found him teaching Caden to tie his shoes, both of them sitting on the floor with intense concentration. "Loop it around," Nathan instructed. "Then pull it through." "That's perfect." "I did it," Caden announced proudly, showing off his slightly crooked bow. "You sure did. Now you can teach your sister." "Kira doesn't want to learn yet," Caden said seriously. "She likes her Velcro shoes better." "That's okay. Everyone learns things when they're ready." Nathan's patience seemed endless, whether he was helping with homework, mediating disputes over toys, or listening to elaborate stories about playground adventures. 2 weeks before the wedding, Nathan made an announcement that surprised everyone. "I'm taking time off," he told Amara over breakfast. 2 weeks before the wedding and 2 weeks after for our honeymoon. "Nathan, you don't take time off. Ever." "I do now. The business can run without me for a month. My family can't." A month is a long time to be away from work. It's not long enough to celebrate starting our new life together. The twins were delighted by the prospect of having Nathan home full-time, and Amara discovered that her fiancé was even more wonderful when he wasn't balancing family time with business obligations. They spent those 2 weeks creating memories that Amara knew she would treasure forever. Nathan taught the twins to ride bikes in the park, with more patience than she had thought humanly possible as they wobbled and fell and got back up again. "I got it," Kira shouted the first time she pedaled 3 whole rotations without Nathan's steadying hand. "You sure did," Nathan called, jogging beside her. "You're a natural." That evening, as they celebrated Kira's bike riding triumph with ice cream, Amara watched Nathan's animated conversation with the twins about their plans for the next day's park adventure. "You love this," she observed when the twins were finally in bed. "Love what?" "Being a dad. You love it more than your business success, more than your old life. You really love it." Nathan pulled her into his arms on their living room couch. "I love all of it. I love being Kira and Caden's daddy. I love being your partner and raising them. I love coming home to chaos and laughter instead of silence. But mostly I love you. I love the woman who made this family possible." Their wedding day dawned perfect and clear. Amara woke in their guest room, where Nathan had insisted she sleep the night before to preserve tradition, to the sound of excited children and the smell of pancakes. "Mommy, it's wedding day," Kira announced, bouncing on the bed with an energy that suggested she had been awake for hours. "Daddy Nathan is making special breakfast," Caden added, still in his pajamas but already wearing the bow tie that went with his ring-bearer outfit. Downstairs, Nathan was indeed making special breakfast, an elaborate spread that included heart-shaped pancakes, fresh fruit arranged like flowers, and orange juice served in champagne flutes. "Good morning, beautiful," he said, kissing Amara softly. "Ready to marry me?" "More ready than I've ever been for anything," she replied, meaning every word. The ceremony was everything Amara had dreamed of and several things she hadn't dared to imagine. Nathan had chosen a beautiful garden venue where the twins could run and play, with an outdoor reception area perfect for families with young children. But the real magic was in the details that showed how much thought Nathan had put into making their wedding day special for everyone. He had arranged for the twins' favorite babysitter to be on hand during the ceremony, just in case they got overwhelmed. The photographer specialized in capturing natural family moments rather than stiff formal poses. The menu included child-friendly options alongside elegant adult fare. As Amara walked down the aisle, she saw Nathan waiting for her with an expression of such love and joy that it took her breath away. Beside him stood Kira and Caden, dressed in their wedding finery and beaming with pride at their important roles. The ceremony itself was simple and heartfelt, with vows that Nathan had written himself and that brought tears to the eyes of everyone present. "Amara," he said, his voice steady and clear, "you saved my life by teaching me what love really means. You and Kira and Caden have given me purpose, joy, and a future worth building. I promise to love you, protect you, and cherish our family for all the days of my life." Amara's own vows were equally emotional. "Nathan, you answered a call for help and gave us so much more than rescue. You gave us security, love, and the chance to dream about tomorrow. I promise to love you, support you, and build a beautiful life with you and our children." When the pastor pronounced them husband and wife, the twins cheered louder than anyone else, running forward to be included in their parents' first kiss as a married couple. But Nathan's surprise was yet to be revealed. "Before we celebrate," Nathan announced to their guests, "I have something special to share with my new wife." He led Amara and the twins to a large easel covered with a white cloth. When he pulled the cloth away, Amara gasped. The architect's rendering showed a beautiful building with large windows and colorful playgrounds. The sign over the entrance read, "The Amara Johnson Pierce Center for Families." "It's a resource center for single parents," Nathan explained, his arms around his new wife. "Child care, job training, family counseling, emergency assistance. Everything you needed when you were struggling, all in one place." Amara stared at the plans, overwhelmed by the magnitude of Nathan's gift. "You built this for me. I built it because of you. Your story inspired me to think about all the other families out there who need help. The center will serve hundreds of parents and children every year." As their wedding guests applauded and the twins asked excited questions about the playground equipment shown in the drawings, Amara realized that Nathan had given her something even more precious than security and love. He had given her purpose beyond her own family, a way to help other struggling parents find hope. "I love you so much," she whispered against his ear as they danced their first dance as husband and wife. "I love you too, Mrs. Pierce. And I can't wait to spend the rest of our lives proving it." As they swayed to the music, surrounded by family and friends, with their children dancing around their feet, Amara knew that their love story was just beginning. The first 6 months of marriage had been everything Amara had hoped for and more. Nathan was an attentive husband and devoted father, the twins were thriving in their new school, and the family had settled into routines that felt natural and joyful. But lately Nathan had been acting mysterious. It started with hushed phone calls that ended abruptly when Amara entered the room. Then there were the afternoon meetings that he wouldn't discuss, claiming they were about future planning, but providing no details. Most suspicious of all were the secret conversations with Kira and Caden, who would giggle and run away whenever Amara tried to overhear what they were whispering about. "Are you planning something?" Amara asked directly one evening after the twins had gone to bed. "I'm always planning something," Nathan replied, but he wouldn't meet her eyes. "That's how business works. This doesn't feel like business planning. This feels like you're keeping secrets from me." Nathan finally looked at her, his expression carefully neutral. "Would it bother you if I was?" "It depends on what kind of secrets." "The good kind," he said, kissing her forehead. "I promise." But Amara's anxiety grew over the next few weeks as Nathan's mysterious behavior intensified. He started leaving the house early in the mornings, claiming he needed to handle some special projects before his regular workday began. When she offered to help, he politely but firmly declined. "Is everything okay with the business?" she asked, beginning to worry that Nathan was facing financial problems he didn't want to burden her with. "The business is fine. Better than fine, actually." "Then what's all the secrecy about?" "Amara, I need you to trust me. What I'm working on is important, and I promise you'll understand soon." Trust had never been easy for Amara, not after years of disappointment and self-reliance. Even with Nathan, who had proven his love and commitment repeatedly, she found herself imagining worst-case scenarios when faced with uncertainty. What if he was planning to leave them? What if he had discovered that playing house with a ready-made family wasn't as fulfilling as he had expected? What if the mystery meetings were with lawyers, or with another woman, or with someone who was convincing him that he had made a terrible mistake? Do you ever worry when your partner starts keeping secrets? What would you think if the person you loved most suddenly became mysterious about their plans? Subscribe and tell us what you think Nathan is hiding. Your comments help us know what stories matter most to you. The twins seemed to be part of whatever Nathan was planning, which both reassured and worried Amara. If he was including Kira and Caden in his secret project, it probably wasn't anything that would hurt the family. But their excitement was becoming harder to contain. "Mommy, you're going to love the surprise," Kira announced one morning over breakfast, then immediately clapped her hand over her mouth. "What surprise, sweetheart?" "I'm not supposed to tell," Kira said, looking at Nathan for guidance. "That's right," Nathan agreed. "It's not a surprise if we tell Mommy about it." "But when will the surprise happen?" Amara asked, trying to sound casual. "Soon," Caden said solemnly. "Daddy Nathan says very soon." That afternoon, while Nathan was at one of his mysterious meetings, Amara decided to do some investigating of her own. She started by calling Nathan's assistant Jennifer, hoping for information about his unusual schedule. "I'm sorry, Amara," Jennifer said, "but Nathan specifically asked me not to discuss his current projects with anyone, including you. He says it's very important that it remains confidential for now." "Jennifer, is my husband in some kind of trouble?" "Oh no, nothing like that. Actually, I think this is the happiest I've ever seen him. He's been working on something that's clearly very meaningful to him. Can you at least tell me if it involves other people? Like, is he meeting with lawyers or consultants or—" "Amara, I really can't say anything more. But I promise you, whatever Nathan is planning, it's something wonderful." That evening, Amara confronted Nathan directly. "I've been patient about your secret project, but my imagination is starting to run away with me. I need to know what's going on." Nathan sat down beside her on the couch, taking her hands in his. "I understand why you're worried. And I'm sorry the secrecy is making you anxious. But Amara, what I'm working on is a surprise for you, and if I tell you now, it won't have the same impact." "What kind of surprise requires months of planning and secret meetings?" "The kind that I hope will show you how much I love you and how committed I am to our family's future." "Nathan, you don't need to prove anything to me. I know you love us. But I want to do more than love you. I want to give you something that honors what you've meant to my life." Amara studied his face, looking for any sign of deception or doubt. But Nathan's expression was earnest and excited, like a child who could barely contain his enthusiasm about a special gift. "How much longer do I have to wait?" she asked. 2 more weeks, Nathan promised. "On our 6-month wedding anniversary, everything will be revealed. And it's really a good surprise. It's the best surprise I've ever planned in my life." The next 2 weeks passed slowly, with Nathan's excitement becoming more obvious every day. He hummed while making breakfast, spent extra time playing with the twins, and seemed to glow with anticipation. "Daddy Nathan is really happy about his surprise," Kira observed one evening. "Do you know what the surprise is?" Amara asked. "Yes, but I promise not to tell. But Mommy, you're going to cry happy tears." "How do you know?" "Because when Daddy Nathan told me and Caden about it, we cried happy tears too." Finally, their 6-month anniversary arrived. Nathan had arranged for the twins to spend the day with their favorite babysitter, insisting that the surprise was something he wanted to share with Amara alone first. "Where are we going?" Amara asked as Nathan drove through parts of the city she didn't recognize. "You'll see." They pulled up in front of a large, modern building with beautiful landscaping and a parking lot filled with construction vehicles. The sign in front read, "The Amara Johnson Pierce Center for Families Grand Opening next month." "Nathan," Amara whispered, "this is my center. The one from the wedding reception." "Not just your center," Nathan said, his voice thick with emotion. "Our center. But there's more." He led her inside the building, which was nearly complete and more beautiful than the architectural drawings had suggested. The main lobby was bright and welcoming, with comfortable seating areas and a children's play space visible through large windows. "This wing is for childcare," Nathan explained, guiding her through the facility. "Licensed for infant through school age with sliding scale fees based on family income. This section houses job training programs, computer labs, and meeting rooms for support groups." They walked through room after room, each space thoughtfully designed for the families who would use them. Amara saw offices for counselors and social workers, a commercial kitchen where cooking classes could be taught, even a small medical clinic for basic healthcare needs. "Nathan, this is incredible. But why all the secrecy?" "Because the best part was getting approval for your position as executive director." Amara stopped walking. "What?" "I wanted to offer you the chance to run the center. To take everything you learned from your own struggles and use it to help other families. But I needed to make sure the board of directors would approve the appointment before I offered it to you. You want me to run this place. I want you to make it everything you wished had existed when you needed help." I want you to hire the staff, develop the programs, and create the kind of support system that could have made your journey easier. Amara looked around the beautiful facility, imagining it filled with families who were struggling the way she had struggled. Single mothers who needed childcare to work, parents who needed job training to improve their circumstances, children who needed safe places to play and learn. The salary would be substantial, Nathan continued, and you'd have full autonomy to run the programs however you think best. The only requirement is that you help as many families as possible. Amara turned to face her husband, this man who had somehow understood her deepest dreams even before she had articulated them herself. You did all this for me. I did it because of you. Because you showed me that success isn't about accumulating wealth, it's about using whatever resources you have to make other people's lives better. Amara walked to the large window overlooking the playground, where she could imagine children playing safely while their parents attended classes or met with counselors. When I was at my lowest point, she said softly, when I was working 3 jobs and still couldn't make ends meet, I used to dream about a place like this. Somewhere parents could get help without feeling ashamed, where children could be cared for while their parents tried to build better lives. And now you can make that dream real for hundreds of families. Amara felt tears streaming down her face as she turned back to Nathan. This is why you were so secretive. You were building my dream job. I was building our future. A place where we can work together to make a real difference in the world. Nathan pulled out one more surprise, a framed certificate appointing Amara as the founding executive director of the center, signed by the board of directors and ready for her acceptance. So what do you say, Mrs. Pierce? Will you help me change the world one family at a time? Amara threw her arms around Nathan's neck, holding him tightly as she cried happy tears just as Kira had predicted. Yes, she whispered. Yes to all of it. Yes to the job, yes to the dream, yes to changing the world with you. As they held each other in the empty lobby of the center that would soon be filled with families finding hope, Amara realized that Nathan's greatest gift wasn't the beautiful building or the important job. It was the knowledge that he understood her heart well enough to create a future that honored both their love and her desire to help others. The secret plan had been worth the wait. 1 year later, Amara stood in the bustling main lobby of the Amara Johnson Pierce Center for Families, watching the miracle of a dream made real. Parents hurried past with children in tow, heading to job training classes and support group meetings. The sound of children's laughter echoed from the child care wing, mixing with the focused conversations of adults working to build better lives for their families. Mrs. Pierce, we have the ribbon-cutting ceremony set up in the community room, said Maria Santos, the center's program coordinator and Amara's invaluable right hand. The mayor's office confirmed he'll be here in 30 minutes. Amara smiled, still getting used to being called Mrs. Pierce in professional settings. Thank you, Maria. Have you seen my husband and the twins? Mr. Pierce is in your office with Kira and Caden. I think they're practicing their speeches for the ceremony. Today marked the first anniversary of the center's opening, and they were celebrating with a community event showcasing all the programs that had developed over the past year. Amara had spent the morning touring local officials and potential donors through the facility, proudly sharing statistics about the families they had served and the lives they had changed. In just 1 year, the center had provided childcare for over 200 families, helped 89 parents complete job training programs, facilitated 12 small business startups, and connected countless families with resources they needed to thrive. But behind every statistic was a story that reminded Amara of her own journey from desperation to hope. Amara, called a familiar voice. She turned to see Patricia Williams, one of the center's first clients, approaching with her 2 young sons. I wanted to thank you again before the ceremony starts. Patricia had arrived at the center 8 months ago, recently divorced and struggling to balance work with caring for her children. Through the center's programs, she had completed training as a medical assistant and now worked at a nearby clinic while her boys attended the center's after-school program. Patricia, you don't need to thank me. You did all the hard work. But you created the place where the hard work was possible, Patricia replied. Before I found this center, I felt like I was drowning. Now I feel like I'm building something. These conversations happened daily, reminders of why Nathan's surprise gift had been so perfectly chosen. Running the center allowed Amara to use every difficult experience from her own past to help other parents navigate similar challenges. Mommy, Kira's voice called from across the lobby. Daddy, Nathan says it's time for the ceremony. Amara looked up to see Nathan approaching with both twins, all 3 of them dressed up for the anniversary celebration. At 4 years old now, Kira and Caden had grown into confident, happy children who treated the center like their second home. Are you ready for this? Nathan asked, slipping his arm around Amara's waist. More ready than I've ever been for anything. The community room was packed with families, staff members, local officials, and media representatives. Amara had initially been nervous about public speaking, but over the past year she had discovered a natural ability to connect with audiences, especially when talking about the center's mission. Welcome everyone to our first anniversary celebration, Amara began, looking out at the crowd of familiar faces. 1 year ago this building was just empty rooms and big dreams. Today, it's a thriving community hub that serves over 300 families. The applause was warm and enthusiastic, but Amara's attention was drawn to Nathan, who sat in the front row with Kira and Caden on either side of him. His expression of pride and love gave her the confidence to continue. When I was a struggling single mother, I wished for a place where parents could get help without judgment, where children could be safe and cared for while their parents worked to build better lives. The Amara Johnson Pierce Center has become that place, thanks to the vision and generosity of my husband Nathan Pierce, and the dedication of our incredible staff. More applause, but Amara held up her hand to continue. But the real heroes are the families who walk through our doors every day. Parents who refuse to give up, who work multiple jobs and attend night classes and never stop believing in a better future for their children. You inspire me every single day. As Amara continued her speech, sharing specific success stories and outlining plans for expansion, Nathan watched his wife with amazement. The nervous, exhausted woman he had met in the hospital had grown into a confident leader who commanded respect from everyone she encountered. After the formal presentations and ribbon-cutting ceremony, the celebration continued with food, music, and activities for children. Nathan found himself in conversation with the mayor about plans for similar centers in other parts of the city. Your wife is remarkable, the mayor said, watching Amara discuss program details with a group of social workers. She's transformed the way we think about family services in this community. She's transformed my life too, Nathan replied, meaning every word. Later that evening, after the twins were in bed and the house was quiet, Nathan and Amara sat on their back porch swing, reflecting on the day and the year that had brought them to this moment. Are you happy? Nathan asked, the same question he had asked many times over the past year. Happier than I ever imagined possible, Amara replied. Nathan, do you ever think about that morning when Kira accidentally called your number? Every day. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you hadn't answered, or if you had just hung up when you realized it was a wrong number? Nathan considered the question seriously. I think I would have spent the rest of my life successful but empty, never knowing what I was missing. And you would have found another way to survive and thrive, because that's who you are. But we would have missed out on this incredible love story. It is incredible, isn't it? Amara said, snuggling closer to Nathan on the swing. Sometimes I still can't believe this is my life. Believe it, Nathan said, echoing words from their early days together. This is just the beginning. The beginning of what? Everything. Watching Kira and Caden grow up. Expanding the center to help even more families. Growing old together and having grandchildren to spoil. Amara laughed. You're thinking about grandchildren already? I'm thinking about a lifetime of happiness with the woman who saved my life by letting me save hers. As they rocked gently in the swing, looking out at the backyard where their children's toys were scattered. On the grass, Amara marveled at the journey that had brought them here. From that desperate morning when she collapsed on her kitchen floor to this moment of complete contentment, her life had been transformed by a series of events that seemed too unlikely to be anything but destiny. Nathan, she said softly, I love you more than I ever thought it was possible to love someone. I love you too, Mrs. Pierce. Today, tomorrow, and for all the tomorrows after that. Inside the house, they could hear the faint sounds of their children sleeping safely in their beds, dreaming whatever dreams 4-year-olds dream. Outside, the night was peaceful and full of promise. The wrong number that had changed everything had led to the most right life any of them could have imagined. And as Amara drifted off to sleep that night in Nathan's arms, she knew that their love story was just beginning. Their happily ever after wasn't an ending at all. It was the foundation for a lifetime of love, purpose, and joy that would touch countless other lives through the work they did together. Sometimes the most beautiful beginnings start with the most desperate calls for help. And sometimes when you answer that call with love, everyone gets saved.